What up, Mike D checking in here. I wanted to check in with you guys and talk about the cancellation of the BET Hip Hop Awards and the Soul Train Awards. No further ado, man. Fat Joe had something to say about it. I'm gonna give my opinion on what Joe had to say, and I'm gonna give my opinion on the whole topic in general. But Fat Joe did host the BET Hip Hop Awards a few times, and I think it is noteworthy to say that many fans online have expressed that they were tired of Fat Joe actually hosting. And Fat Joe, in recent time, maybe a couple of months ago, I think it was, he said that he was stepping down from it and he was going to pass the torch or baton to Two Chains to host it. But after this news, and I'm gonna get to the official news of it. After this news, this is what Fat Joe actually had to say.
BET, this is a form of gentrification, what's going on right now. Right. So I don't know if y'all really want to ask me about this shit right here, right? So BET came up as a community station for black people, right? The urban culture. And our man, what is Bob Johnson, took the check. He sold it, first black billionaire, whatever the case may be. He sold it. He sold it to Viacom and Paramount, MTV and them, VH1 and them. Little by little over the years, quietly, they've been firing a lot of people behind the scenes in BET, and everybody who has something to say, they've been firing them and this and this and that. And I know because I've been working on the BET
Wait a minute. Everybody that has something to say, expound upon that. Something to say about what?
Hip Hop Awards for 3 years. Shit was like the budget, not for me, but the budget
Just kept getting.
getting chopped and chopped and chopped. And last year, I debuted my single with Khaled in the VMAs, and Katy Perry still flying through the air in the VMAs. They still blowing out of the cannons. They still flying in the air. They still got all the tricks. They still got the budgets. They got the shit, you know. And so I think in the entertainment world, I don't think I know this was like a form of gentrification. They kept underfunding them, underfunding them, and you ain't got no money to be creative. That's why you was watching the Ratchet Awards and all that. They ain't had no bread. Last year we shot the last joint, and I am
They have bread for what they want to have bread for.
I'm so honored for the opportunity, Connie Orlando and the whole crew to let me host. That was one of the biggest things I ever wanted to do in my life. You know, I look up, if I never told you, I look up to a Steve Harvey. So Steve Harvey's my guy at media that I want to be like. And so, that made me feel like I was Steve Harvey at hip hop and trying to keep it consistent. But I saw what they did to him. They just stopped the budgets. They started firing. Almost said arrested. They started firing a bunch of people who brought a lot to the table, and now we're left with, guess what? This ain't working. But nothing without no money, no promotions, no staff, no nothing works. It just don't work. You might as well have called it the Independent Awards.
You know what? I think there's something to what he just said about the Independent Awards because I think there was an opportunity missed here. Okay. Well, Fat Joe didn't really tell us much, right? He told us that the budgets kept getting cut. Now, I'm somebody who's gotten on this microphone before and said that, yeah, I don't see why we even need a BET Hip Hop Awards and a BET Awards in this day and time. I honestly feel like award shows in general are dead technology because at the end of the day, especially from from a network that doesn't play any music, right? The Oscars and the Grammys are very different because they're academies, right? It's a different prestige. They would be giving awards that whether they had an award show or not. Their awards aren't based on whether people tune in or not. Those things are staples. They're a part of that industry, and they're like let's just say wherever your job is, they're like having employee parties at the end of the year. So it's a little different. Those things are going to be there. But as far as like award shows, I think it's a bit of a dead technology because they were put in place to actually help promote record sales and albums and tours and artists and releases and the actual networks that were playing music at the time as well. Those things aren't in play anymore. So you have a network in BET, and I say this respectfully because, Bob Johnson, I think Bob Johnson is an incredible icon, man. Like, love to meet the brother. He made a way for so many people. But today's BET is not the Bob Johnson BET. And, you know, when you have a network that's just giving you a bunch of, Tyler Perry ran shows, a bunch of reruns of retreaded sitcoms and showing the same movies over and over, giving you a hip hop award show and a Soul Train award show and another award show that you can't tell anybody how it's different from the next. It is a little bit excessive. It might have, I don't know why they did it in the first place, but I'm sure the reasons that they put the BET Hip Hop Awards in play in the first place, those those dimensions have changed and they're pivoting as businesses should. And people aren't sitting around watching music videos on television, even if they were on. There's a reason why 106 in Park is not on television anymore. People weren't watching it at the same rate. If you're not watching something, they're not going to they're going to cancel it. It's just what it is. And I do want to put this in context too. The BET Hip Hop Awards was created well after Bob Johnson was gone. So that's not a creation of Bob Johnson. Excuse me. That's a creation of Viacom, as Fat Joe would say. The other part of it is I got so much to say about this. I want to just order my thoughts, but the other part of this, man, is talk about the budgets being cut. The way things work is if people are watching something, then sponsors are going to say, look, we're going to buy ad space for your show. You're not able to sell ad space because you don't have a demographic that is watching your show. The budgets are going to get cut, and to the point where there's no show anymore because you don't have any sponsors. You don't have any money. Where do you think the money actually comes from? And I think it's very difficult for the BET Hip Hop Awards, or it had to be difficult for the BET Hip Hop Awards to actually identify their demographic. Because let's be honest, the big stars in hip hop were not going to the BET Hip Hop Awards. The BET Hip Hop Awards became something that was more so for independent artists who were participating in the ciphers and artists who were just emerging. But once you got to a certain level, you weren't going to come back to the BET Hip Hop Awards. That brings a question of what's your demographic? What is your age? Who's watching this show? And if it's catered to a young hip hop demographic, we're talking about the newer artists, that demographic's not watching television, right? And so inevitably your ratings are going to be low. And also your advertisers are going to say, I'm not going to pay top dollar or any dollar to advertise on this award show because nobody watches it. Call me when the BET Awards comes up. I'll put money in that, right? And so, yes, the budgets are going to get lower. I don't know what Fat Joe expects. He expects them to I don't know where he thinks the money's going to come from. That's just the reality of it. And I know artists don't want to look at it in this way, but the truth of the matter is, if artists wanted the BET Hip Hop Awards to fly, they should have supported it as artists. The bigger artists should have been showing up to this award show. They should have been performing at this award show. They should have had big moments at these award shows, but they didn't. And that's just the truth of the matter. And BET's hands were kind of tied. What do you expect them to do? Continuously. It's called, people talking about it's the Ratchet Awards and this and that because they had to deal with lower level. They had to deal with emerging talent. Let me say that. They had to deal with talent that hadn't broken yet. And so what do you expect there? Now, when he said the Independent Awards, and I've said this a few years back, I think when hip hop had its real, I don't want to say resurgence, but it was a bit of an independent renaissance going on in 2020 when you had Pray for Paris, you had From a King to a God from Conway, and you had people, Alfredo, the first Alfredo. I think there was an opportunity there for the BET Hip Hop Awards to pivot and get away from trying to cater to a quote unquote young hip hop demographic, but they could have actually catered to that I don't want to say hip hop demographic, but that independent hip hop demographic. And they refused to do so. There was a lot of good music out there that wasn't getting acknowledged, but they would use certain people for ciphers, but never nominate them for awards. I think there was an opportunity there for, somebody like or Freddie Gibbs to be the belle of the ball at the BET Hip Hop Awards. You don't think that a Rhapsody would have went out there and supported the BET Hip Hop Awards? They could have changed and pivoted in that way and depended on that artist, that audience, excuse me, that supports that pool of artists, and it would have helped both entities. It would have helped the artist, it would have helped the platform, and I think it would have grown that fan base too. But again, they didn't do that. They wanted to continue to do the same thing over and over with times changing and expect different results. And I mean, again, I don't see it coming back. I don't think it should come back. I applaud BET for putting together a dope BET awards this year. And look, if you got to put all your resources into one award show for it to be dope, as opposed to having three lackluster award shows, I'm cool with that. Now, the Soul Train Awards, man, I think they're just it's just a casualty, and that's a sad thing because I think the Soul Train Awards has been dope, and I see an emergence in a lot of new R&B, and that's a platform that many R&B artists could use, and I think that being able to mesh in the old with the new, there was an opportunity there. I hate that Soul Train had to go down with the ship, but the BET Hip Hop Awards, that should have been done a long time ago. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. Hit like and subscribe. Am I tripping? You think that the BET Hip Hop Awards should stay? You think this was a gentrification? You know what? I want Fat Joe, and I don't know if he was just talking. I want him to explain how this is gentrification. And do you agree with Fat Joe on this? I want to know in the comment section, man. Hit like and subscribe, man. I'm gonna talk to you guys soon.